Hello there, YouTube. It's your boy B3, back with another kicking graphic novel review. Yeah. Today, we are looking at another volume of Animal Man. That is right. It is Animal Man Volume 3, Rotworld, The Red Kingdom, from DC's The New 52. This is the 2011 to 2014 run. And let me tell you, it's a super underrated run. Not just of Animal Man, but of, like, comics in general. I really wish I would have been reading this when the New 52 began. When the New 52 began, I was reading the two books that everybody loved. You know, everyone was talking about Scott Snyder then. Scott Snyder's Batman. Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing. This connects to Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing, by the way. Because it's all part of Rotworld, as you heard me say a second ago. But when the New 52 started, I was reading Batman single issues and Swamp Thing trades, and honest to God, I wish I would have been reading this then. I got volumes 1 through 4 of this 5-volume run for dirt cheap during like Black Friday and Cyber Monday and stuff last year. And I'm very glad I did, so I only need one more volume to complete my run. And I'll be getting it soon, let me tell you, because goddamn, this is a good run. Anyways, let me read the back of the book for you, huh? In the end, nothing escapes the rot. Time to defeat the rot, the unstoppable force of decay terrorizing Earth. Animal Men joined forces with the Swamp Thing, avatar of all plant life, and one of my personal favorite DC Comics characters. With the combined strength of the red and the green, the two ventured deep into the rot to attack their enemy in its seat of power. But they were deceived. As a result, the rot was free to spread unrestrained across the earth. Buddy Baker returns to a world where this withering force of death has won, and nearly all of Earth's heroes are its agents. With the help of John Constantine, Steel, and the last few living heroes, Buddy must risk everything to ensure that Rotworld never takes root. But when you risk everything, you must be prepared to lose everything. Critically acclaimed writers Jeff Lemire from Justice League Dark and Sweet Tooth and Scott Snyder from Batman and American Vampire joined together for an epic team-up tale between the DC Universe's strangest heroes, with Steve Puh from John Constantine and Hellblazer, and Marco Rudy from Swamp Thing, and Timothy Green 2 from Red Hood and the Outlaws collects Animal Man 12 through 19 and Swamp Thing 12 and 17. Yes. Very cool, very ace. Anyhow, let's get into this book. So, this is what it's all been leading up to. The Rotworld crossover between Animal Man and Swamp Thing. Both the other volumes were leading up to this one, and I guess that's just how volumes work, but also it's really one big story, the first 3 volumes of Animal Man. It's got a nice little previously in front if you were reading these as they came out, but since I got them all at once, I don't really super need to read that. If you want to know what happened previously, my other 2 reviews are up. So Cliff, Buddy Baker, Animal Man's son, I keep calling him Ant-Man, you're just going to have to deal with that. I had some Ant-Man stuff earlier today, I was selling Ant-Man action figures, and I think I still have some Ant-Man and the Wasp stuff for sale on eBay, check it out. But Buddy Baker has to go find Swamp Thing. He has actually connected the Swamp Thing and can sense him because the red and the green are connected. Also, they can sense Abigail Arcane, who's there, because she is connected to the rot, which we all know now. But they also see future visions of Rotworld. So Swamp Thing and Animal Man go into the rot to confront it, fight it on its home turf. But when their tether is severed, and they come out of the rot, a year has passed. When their tether was severed, time started flowing differently inside the rot than outside it. So since a year passed, and both the avatars were missing, the Earth was completely taken over by the rot. Just completely taken over. It was even sealed off and quarantined by the Green Lantern Corps so that the rot couldn't use characters like Superman and whatnot to fly into space and spread it throughout the cosmos. That's how bad things are in Rotworld. Really bad. Anyhow, Anton Arcane is up there running amok, but when they get back, they both reappear in the places that are closest to them. So Swamp Thing reappears in the last vestige of the green, and Animal Man appears in the last vestige of the red, which is like this city that the kind of totems, the Parliament of Red, Parliament of Limbs, I think is what they're called, turned themselves into this city, so they aren't really sentient anymore. And the Guardians there are a now red Beast Boy, Black Orchid, who's a character that I'm not familiar with. I know the New 52 Black Orchid is like very different than the one before it, but I'm not familiar with any of them. And there seem to be multiple references to Black Orchid stuff in this. I think that connects to Justice League Dark, but I've only read the kind of rebirthy Justice League Dark and only the first volume. But I do want to read New 52 Justice League Dark. I think I have volume 1. I have so many comics and trades and stuff, you guys. It's hard to remember off the top of my head exactly what I have all the time. But I think I have volume 1 of the New 52 run. I need to get into it. I need to read it so I can know what's up with Black Orchid. But we also have Steel. He's really cool. So it's a version of Jonathan Irons who's put his consciousness in a robot. So instead of having a suit of armor, he's a robot. Rot can't possess a robot, which is true. And I was like, dang, that was a smart move, dude. That was a good move. But they fight like a Rot-possessed Savage Hawkman, which is cool. But also there's like a B story with his family and what they were doing a year ago after he disappeared, which can kind of throw you off a little, to be completely honest. Because like his son Cliff was possessed by the Rot, which led to his wife and mother-in-law being possessed by the Rot. And, you know, the Gray was like, yo, Maxine, if you give yourself to us, then we'll let your family go. And she does it. And she becomes like this Rot monster, but also is still the avatar of the Red. And that's one of the reasons they were able to take over the planet. Because the pseudo-avatar of the Red was missing, and the real avatar of the Red was an easily manipulated 4-year-old girl. But we do get to see Animal Man fight like Rot-possessed Grifter. Not that anyone... It's Grifter, who cares? I don't care about Wildstorm. Other than Apollo and Midnighter. They're cool. But like Grifter, Felix Faust, Deathstroke, Hawk and Dove, which was odd to see. I was like, oh yeah, Hawk and Dove, characters that I loved in Brightest Day. And then I went to read some of their actual comics and didn't like any of them. Love them in team-ups, though. Anyway, so Animal Man and his companions are traveling around, and they end up in like this new gorilla city with like Gorilla Grodd and Mala and Brain. But Grodd can't affect Steel because Steel's consciousness is robotic, which is pretty cool. And then Frankenstein shows up. I actually quite like DC's Frankenstein, and I will be reviewing Frankenstein in the Agents of S.H.A.D.E., which is basically just Creature Commandos by another name. That's literally all it is. They just wanted to give it what I guess they thought was a cooler name. To be completely honest, Creature Commandos is a better name. Which is probably why James Gunn is using that instead of Frankenstein and the Agents of S.H.A.D.E. Which sounds too marvelly. Sorry. I like the name Creature Commandos so much better. But Frankenstein has taken his father and his namesake's ability to make Frankenstein's monsters and has been turning people into them, and also horses into them, because the Rot can't possess them. They're like this weird undead that's separate from the Rot. And they also never get tired, and they're hard to injure, so they're really perfect soldiers to fight the Rot. Also, the Arcane Kid from the Swamp Thing Volume 1 is running around in the present, fucking shit up. Oh, sorry, it's like 1 a.m. It's the only time I have to record these. I have to do it in the attic while everyone else is asleep because I'm too busy during the day and there's always people at home. One of the people I live with is retired and the other works from home, so I'd have no alone time. Anyway, they go to Metropolis. And there's a being imprisoned under Metropolis. And that being is supposed to be one that Anton Arcane fears. And they kind of want you to think it's Superman. I already knew it wasn't Superman. And my guess was that it was a Green Lantern. And I was correct. It was a Green Lantern. I wouldn't have guessed this Green Lantern. It's Metaphil. You know, that kind of plant Green Lantern dude who has like the broccoli head and the single eye. It's him, and he's trapped by this kind of living city wizard, plant man, which is hard to explain because he's a character I was not familiar with. But it also looks like he might be someone from Justice League Dark. There were references to Justice League Dark and Frankenstein Agents of Shade in here, and I haven't read either of those books, but I do plan on it. I definitely have Volume 1 of Frankenstein Agents of Shade. Agents of Shade? This is the life I live. Anyways, we get our big final Rotworld battle with, like, gray possessed Superman and Flash and Wonder Woman and stuff. And there's like the gray Harley Quinn and etc. Swamp Thing is there and his cool snot Snyder. He probably got called that in elementary school. I'm sorry. Scott Snyder. Also the kind of Batgirl. And a lot goes on in that final fight. But just know that Animal Man like almost gives up. It's pretty horrific. But they do end up teaming up with the Rot itself. Because, once again, the gray isn't inherently evil. It's a necessary natural force. It's just when they get out of balance, bad shit happens. And the green has done this before, trying to fuck around and take over. And the red has done it before, too. And we will talk about stories where that happens. But Animal Man goes back, and he is able to save his daughter from being possessed by these creatures. Which is good. And we also get to see more of her being just insanely powerful. But then, in a very shocking moment of this book, before that, there is more stuff that seems to be Black Orchid Justice League Darky. Because there's these guys talking about Taproot, which they don't explain. And also Black Orchid talked about Taproot earlier, but was interrupted by Gorilla Grodd. So I guess that's all in Justice League Dark. Oh, corporate comic universes and their crossovers. But there's this hugely shocking moment where Ant-Man's son Cliff dies saving his life. And oftentimes when a character dies in these books, I'm like, whatever, dude, it's corporate comics. They're coming back to life. But you feel this death. And you're like, dang, like this isn't like a superhero. This is a child. And not one with powers or anything. This is like it's a death that hits hard. Even if you believe they bring him back, it hits hard. And let me tell you, Volume 2 is like all about Animal Man grappling with his son's horrific death. And it's insane. Did I say Volume 2? I meant the next volume. Because this one ends just on a crazy note with this, like, kid's funeral and his wife leaving him and taking their daughter. And the paparazzi are just being monsters. Like, they won't leave him alone. They won't leave Ant-Man alone because he doesn't have a secret identity and he's an actor. And, like, people are accusing him of faking his own son's death and even faking his marriage. People are accusing him of never even being married. They're like, did you fake your son's death for publicity? And he's like, I'm going to destroy your camera because you're a monster. But then his daughter is also exploring her powers, and he's going to the Red and demanding his powers be taken away. And they're like, man, fuck you, dude. You don't tell us what to do. Get the fuck out of here. And we also get to see some more horrific energy and stuff. But Ant-Man does seem to lose a little bit of power after this because the Red is mad at him. But holy shit, what a book. And I have read Volume 4 already. Let me tell you, it's wild. Haven't read Volume 5, but Volume 4, is crazy. So that is it for Animal Man Volume 3, Rotworld, The Red Kingdom. Thank you all very much for your support. You have to read this Animal Man run. It's so good. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.